Do you ever notice how we listen to noise, but we ignore wisdom? We scroll past truth like it ain't trending, like our hearts ain't starving for something eternal. Like we ain't out here walking in circles, repeating patterns our fathers never broke. But today, I need you to pause just for a moment, because what you're about to hear ain't hype. It's heritage. It's the kind of truth you don't get from TikTok. You get it from time, from trial, from a woman who's seen 92 winters and still knows what real love feels like. She ain't selling dreams. She's giving out divine downloads. This ain't just about women. It's about becoming the kind of man that makes God smile and makes the next generation proud. So lean in, not just with your ears, with your soul, because what she's about to say, that's a fact, and few men ever learn it in time. You know what I've learned from sitting with women who've been through the fire and came out shining? Not in gold, but in grace. It's that a man doesn't need to be perfect. She doesn't need you to have all the answers. She needs you to be there. That's a fact most men miss. See, the world teaches y'all to perform, to flex, to treat love like a checklist. Got the job, got the car, got the muscles, got the drip. And then you think, now I'm ready to be loved. But let me tell you what a 92-year-old woman said while sitting on her worn-out front porch with a cup of tea and a fire still in her eyes. Baby, I didn't fall in love with his wallet. I fell in love with the way he stayed when it got quiet, stayed when she was moody, stayed when she didn't even know how to say what she needed. But he was still there, listening like her soul was speaking. You think you got to come with solutions every time she opens her mouth? You don't. Sometimes all she needs is presence. A steady hand, a calm breath, a soft, I'm here when life is loud. Being present ain't passive. It's power under control. It's a man who knows his worth doesn't shake when hers does. It's being her peace when her world is chaos. But you can't give that kind of presence unless you've made peace with your own presence. Too many men trying to love a woman before they've learned to sit with themselves, before they've sat with God, before they've stared their brokenness in the face and said, I'm still worthy, not perfect, but present. Because the truth is, women don't want your performance. They want your participation. They want you in it, heart first, ego last. They want to know that when the sparkle fades and life looks more like routine than romance, you'll still show up. Not out of duty, but out of devotion. That kind of presence is loud even in silence. It says, I see you when the makeup's off and the day's been long. I hear you even when your words are buried in sighs. I choose you, not just in front of people, but especially behind closed doors. And no, you won't always get it right. You'll miss some cues. You'll say the wrong thing. But being present doesn't mean being perfect. It means being humble enough to stay. To say, I'm learning you every day. To say, teach me how to love you better. To say, I'm not going anywhere, even when I don't understand everything. And listen, that right there, that's the kind of man a woman remembers. Not because he built empires, but because he built a home in her heart. A safe space where she didn't have to compete to be understood, where she didn't have to scream to be heard, where she didn't have to earn what should have always been freely given. Presence. That's the standard. That's the fact. We live in a time where men think strength is volume, that you gotta raise your voice to be respected, that control looks like shouting, dominance, cold silence when you're mad. But the real ones know strength don't sound like thunder. It sounds like calm. It looks like peace. It moves quiet, steady, holy. See, I've seen men break things they were called to protect because they didn't know the power of restraint. And the sad part is they thought they were doing what men are supposed to do. Thought being loud meant being heard. But being heard ain't the same as being understood. And being feared ain't the same as being trusted. I remember sitting across from this woman, gray hair like silver threads of wisdom woven into her scalp, and she said, "The strongest man I ever knew never once raised his hand. Not at me, not at his kids, not even at God." She said his strength was in his softness. His gentleness didn't make him weak, it made him safe. Let that hit you. Saying, not soft in a cowardly way, soft like water that cuts through rock over time. Soft like stillness in a storm that tells everybody it's going to be okay. That's real power. Power that doesn't need to be flashy. Power that doesn't need to crush to feel important. Some of you were raised around chaos, so now you mistake peace for boredom. You think if it ain't loud, it ain't real. If it ain't full of heat, it must not be love. But let me tell you something. A man who is led by his temper is a man who can't be trusted with tenderness. And every woman, whether she says it or not, is watching to see if you can hold her heart without squeezing it too hard. She's watching to see if you can stay soft even when life gets loud. If you can breathe deep instead of snapping back. If your strength is rooted in silence, not in show. There's a quiet strength in a man who doesn't let his anger do the talking. A man who doesn't need to dominate to feel valuable. A man who doesn't confuse fear with respect. That man, he becomes her peace. And not just hers, the peace for the whole household. You set the tone, whether you know it or not. If your voice shakes the walls, her heart can't rest. But if your presence calms the room, she learns to trust you, even in the storm. And listen, this ain't about letting people walk over you. This ain't about being passive. This is about having power under control. Knowing you could yell, but you choose not to. Knowing you could explode, but you let the Holy Spirit lead you instead. Knowing your words could destroy, but you decide to build. Want to be a strong man? Be the one who protects peace. Be the one who chooses love when ego says to fight. Be the one who holds space for her emotions without being threatened by them. Because the strongest man in the room ain't the one clenching his fists. It's the one holding his ground with grace. The one whose love is louder than his pride. And the ones who know that kind of strength, they don't need to prove anything. They just walk in the room, and the room breathes love her with actions, not just words. That sounds simple, but it's not. Not in a world where talk is cheap and performances get praised more than presence. It's easy to say, "I love you," when the lights are low, the music is soft, and you want something in return. But love that lasts, love that carries weight, it doesn't live in your mouth. It lives in your habits. I've seen too many men use words like weapons. Sharp, loud, thrown out quick, and then walk away like nothing happened. They say, "I didn't mean it," but the words already landed, already bruised, already taught her something about how safe she isn't. But when your love lives in your choices, she don't have to guess. She don't have to wonder if you mean it this time. She feels it before you even say it. See, she's watching what you do when nobody's looking. When you're tired, when she's not in the mood to praise you, when the spotlight's off and there's no crowd to clap. She's watching how you carry her heart, how you protect what's fragile, how you handle her vulnerability, not just when it benefits you, but when it costs you your comfort. You can't just speak love, you got to show it. In the way you talk to her when she's anxious, in the way you serve when you'd rather scroll, in the way you apologize without excuses, in the way you stay when the easy thing would be to shut down, go cold, walk away. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for consistency. And every time you show up, every time you honor her with patience, with gentleness, with effort, you're building trust. You're laying bricks. You're making her feel safe enough to be soft, to open up, to believe you mean what you say. Because here's the truth. Love is a verb, and it don't always feel poetic. Sometimes love looks like doing the dishes when she's had a long day. Sometimes it looks like holding her while she cries and not trying to fix it. Sometimes it looks like changing, not because she nagged, but because you listened. Because you heard her heart under the words. That kind of love doesn't have to scream. It doesn't have to prove itself. It just keeps showing up over and over again when it's inconvenient, when it's uncomfortable, when your pride says, you don't have to. Love says, I will. You say you love her? Then honor her in the little things. Speak kindly when it's easier to snap. Be patient when she's overwhelmed. Don't just love the parts of her that are easy to hold. Love the parts that challenge you, that stretch you, that reveal how selfish you really are. Because love will reveal you. It'll show you what's still broken in you. But if you let it, it'll also heal what's been hardened. And in that healing, you'll learn how to love her like Christ loved the church. Not because she earned it, but because you chose it. You don't love her just when she's lovable. You love her because that's the standard you set for yourself. That's the kind of man you said you'd be. Not one who says it when it's sweet, but one who proves it when it's hard. So if you really want to love her, don't just tell her. Show her. Time is a strange thing. It moves slow when you're waiting, but fast when you're wasting it. And the older you get, the more you realize you don't have as much of it as you thought. You start to look back and wonder if you were becoming the man God called you to be, or just performing a version of manhood you thought the world wanted to see. See, I talked to this 92-year-old woman once, and the way she spoke about life, it wasn't with regret for what she didn't buy. It wasn't about the house or the job or the trips. It was about love, about legacy, about who she built it all with, and how he made her feel while they were building. That's what sticks. Not the grind, not the image, not even the applause. It's the impact. It's who you were in the quiet moments. Who you were when no one was clapping. Who you were when she needed you to be a man, and not just a male. And the question I need you to ask yourself, honestly, is this: would I be proud if my daughter ended up with a man like me? Would I celebrate it or feel the weight of everything I didn't correct in myself? Because a lot of men spend time chasing things they can't take with them, while becoming someone they wouldn't even trust with their own sister's heart. What you build in private will be seen in public eventually. Character doesn't hide forever. And you don't get to skip the work and still expect to leave a legacy. You want to be a good man? Then be one. Not when the lights are on, not when she's looking, Not when you feel like it, but when it's hard, when you're tired, when no one's patting you on the back. Because integrity is what you do when it's just you and God. You can have all the followers, all the influence, all the praise. But if your woman doesn't feel safe, if your kids are scared of your silence, if your soul is tired because you've been wearing a mask for years, then what did it cost you? A man with vision doesn't just ask what he wants to gain. He asks who he wants to become. Because who you are becoming will shape everything you touch. Your relationships, your legacy, your witness, your peace. It's not too late to choose different, to become rooted, to be the man who stops the generational patterns of coldness, of pride, of passivity, to be the one who builds a home, not just a house, to speak with life, not just volume, to correct with love, not with fear. You don't need to be rich to leave something behind. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You just need to be real, to be faithful, to be intentional. Because when it's all said and done, the ones who remember you won't talk about your title. They'll talk about your tone. They'll talk about your patience. They'll talk about how they felt around you, whether they saw the love of God in the way you loved them. So ask yourself daily, not just what you're building, but who you're becoming. And make sure your answer is someone you'd be proud to leave behind.